In my last video, I restored this Lincoln Continental using some new paint that was sent to me by the Redline shop. In the comment section of that video, several people asked about the white base coat and how that affected the color of the paint. Enough people had brought that up that I felt a small follow-up video was in order. And since the follow-up is rather short, I added a couple cars from my collection for the second half of the video. By far the most requested video I get is to show off parts of my collection, so this is an opportunity to do just that. And we'll see if you guys enjoy it. If you do, then I'll add some collection videos in the future. But back to the paint. The main question that was asked is what the paint would look like with a black base coat instead of the white coat I had on the original car. Several people had commented too that they would have liked to have seen a darker blue. So this leaves me wondering if using a black base coat would darken the paint at all. The easiest way to answer this question is to paint something with a black base coat, and for me I always just use spoons. So for this experiment I'll paint 3 spoons, 1 white, 1 black, and 1 chrome. And hopefully this will answer some of the questions people have been asking. The nice thing about painting spoons is they already have a nice glossy surface to paint on, so no prep work is needed. Here I'll just show myself painting the white spoon as it's the easiest to see in film. I ended up doing 3 coats. I didn't put a lot of effort into these as I'll be throwing them away when I'm done. I just wanted to get an idea of how it would look. So after I painted the spoons, I set them aside to cure for a couple hours, and this was the final result. As you can see, the base color has a huge effect on the final look of the paint. The blue on the white spoon looks exactly like it did on the car, no surprise there, but the black and chrome are interesting. They both came out a little bit more silvery. I'm guessing this is because the flake stands out more on the black and chrome. Second, the color appears to be a much deeper blue when looked at straight on. However, and this is what I found most interesting, the areas that I wasn't looking at the car straight on would go from a deep blue to black. This is a really interesting effect and may have a lot to do with the curved surface of the spoon, but still I could see some interesting uses for this type of effect. John at the Redline shop is working on some other colors including red, and I can already think up some cool customs that might be interesting to look at. Something that only looks red when looked at straight on but is black everywhere else. Another thing I thought to try out was painting over a black and white car like this Impala. I was curious if I could get a ghosting effect with a tampo, so I painted over the car with 3 coats of the paint, and here was the end result. Here again, how well the tampo is seen through the paint depends on the angle you're viewing the car. If you're looking at it straight on, it pops out, but as you turn the car, the tampo disappears and then pops back out when you're looking at the car from about 90 degrees. I found myself slowly spinning the car to change the viewing angle just to watch the tampo pop in and out of the paint. So this is definitely something I'll be playing with in the future. If you're interested in trying this paint out yourself, I will leave a link in the video description. Right now he only has blue, but other colors should be available in the future. If you have any questions about this paint, then please leave them below. So as promised, I'm going to show you some cars from my collection. Specifically, I'm going to show you some of my Lesney Matchbox cars from the regular wheel era. This is an era that's not covered as much on YouTube, at least not compared to Hot Wheels. I'll try to cram as much info as I can for each car and any interesting tidbits I might know about the casting. The first casting is a Moco Lesney number 35 Marshall horse box, introduced in 1957. This particular model has metal wheels and crimped axles. It was later made with black and silver plastic wheels and rounded axles. According to my old price guide, this model, if it was in mint with the box, could go for $80 to $100. This one will go for much less as it's missing the door that doubles as a loading ramp. Up next is the number 54 S&S Cadillac Ambulance, introduced in 1965. This is one of those models that I seem to find everywhere. They seem to have made a lot of them, and that is reflective in the price, as the price guide gives a value of $35 for a mint in-box version. You can of course find this car on eBay for a fraction of that price. One of the interesting things to note on these cars is if you look at the doors, you'll see 2 raised areas with the red cross between. These cars predate pad printing. Those 2 raised areas are put there to assist the assembly line worker in placing the small red cross sticker in the correct area, on each side. You think your job is boring. Alright, this is a number 60 Sight Hut truck introduced in 1966. This is one of those toys where the accessory can cost you more than the actual vehicle. My price guide feels this one is worth about $30, which oddly enough is what people are asking on eBay for a mint model with box. Up next is the number 35 Snow Track tractor, issued in 1964. This one is in mint shape with the original white rubber tracks. These tracks are hard as a rock now and would shatter if the casting was dropped, but having original tracks makes this about a $40 casting. As you can guess, replacement tracks are available, and this casting is almost always found with the tracks missing. There are some variations with this casting involving the lettering on the side being cast into the tractor. No doubt they figured that casting the words into the side was a cheaper alternative than the labor needed to apply all those stickers. This next casting is a Moko Lesney No. 34 Volkswagen Microvan from 1957. Lots of variations in this model. This one is a mid-run version with gray plastic wheels and crimped axles. Early versions had metal wheels, and later versions had rounded axles with both silver and black wheels. The black wheels with rounded axles can go for over $2,500, according to my price guide. This version you see here can go for around $125 if in mint shape. This is a pretty rare model, and if you have one in mint shape, they all go for over $100. One of my favorite models is this No. 22 Pontiac Grand Prix Sports Coupe from 1964. There's only one variation to look for this particular model, and that version is painted in orange. Those can go for around $250, while the red version you see here goes for around $30 in mint. I picked up several of these with plans to customize them in the future. Up next is the No. 31 Lincoln Continental issued in 1964. This blue version, along with the green version, is the most common to be found and runs around $25. There is a rare lime version out there, and if you have that, it's worth around $2,500 if in mint shape. It's rare and hard to find because it's a transition piece. As Lesney began transitioning to the super fast cars to compete with Hot Wheels, some of the cars would have new bodies and colors, but have older wheels put on, as Lesney didn't have all the new wire axles up and running yet. So you should definitely keep an eye out for transition cars. And I say this because a lot of flea market sellers will look these cars up with the info on the base and then price the car on what they find on sites like eBay. The info on the bottom doesn't indicate a rare variation, however. You just have to know what to look for. So I found some very expensive cars sold in antique stores being sold for a fraction of their actual value because the seller didn't know what they had. You can also do this on eBay by watching newly listed items that have a buy it now option. Some people will drop a rare variation on for a regular price, and you can snatch it up, if you can catch it before someone else. This next car probably needs no introduction, but it's the No. 41 Ford GT. This car has a really interesting look with the metallic engine under the rear glass. It sports rubber tires, which means that you'll find most of them without wheels. I think I have said this before, but I wonder when all these Hot Wheels I've bought over the years will start losing their rubber wheels, and if in the future there'll be an entire cottage industry in replacing them. There are of course replacement tires that you can buy for this car online. There's really only one variation to look out for, and that is a version painted in yellow instead of the more common white. The yellow version goes for around $300 if you can find it. Another interesting thing to note on this car is that some cars have the number 6 on the front, like this one, and others have the number 9. Oops. This next car will be in a future video getting some Spectraflame paint. It is the No. 14 Iso Griffo. Just a beautiful casting, sort of ruined by putting a tow hitch on the back. I don't understand why Matchbox did this to the sports cars. If you go back to the Jeep Gladiator I restored a few videos back, no tow hitch. And yes, I get there was no tow hitch on the Jeep because the interior plastic didn't extend all the way to the back, but it's crazy what sports cars got tow hitches. Anyway, there's no major variations on this model. Expect to pay about $35 for a mint with box version. Well, last but certainly not least is the No. 17 Hoveringham Tipper issued in 1963. Hoveringham is 10 miles northeast of Nottingham, and if by chance you live in Hoveringham, please comment so below. This is a model that encapsulates the time it was made in. It's all metal, it's complex to manufacture with 5 axles if you add in the hinge for the bed. It has small painted accents and small parts that could be removed and swallowed by a child. It even has a small plastic part inserted in the base to allow the bed to be displayed in any position. This is a vehicle that just would not be made today. I've said it before, but quality and attention to detail is why I only display Matchbox cars in the very limited space my wife will allow me. Each model can be so dramatically different from the last that a display case full of them is a feast for the eyes. Hopefully I've been able to capture some of that magic in this video. If you'd like to see more of this type of video or more of my Matchbox collection, then please let me know below. I have thousands of cars, and while nothing like someone like WTF-FOR, someone you should definitely be watching if you want to know all things about Hot Wheels, I have enough to make several, hopefully interesting videos. Anyway, best holiday wishes to all, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.